How dare you?
I can't call in at the moment, but if you're able to answer a question in chat, something I've not been able to wrap my head around is why transracial is not a thing. Like, I'm trans, I'm coming from this in good faith. Okay, hold on. I'm not going to get the whiteboard. It's too much. It's covered with a bunch of shit. Gender is an internal quality. Race is an external quality. That's why. Gender is a quality of the self. Race is a quality placed upon you by society. That would be the big difference. You're gonna get 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes per call. So please be concise and to the point on your calls. Okay, be concise. Be to the point. We'll answer your questions, but you're only gonna have 5 minutes. So if you're like, here's the question, and then you are like, and then we'll see you later, then that's great.
Sweet.
Can you restate your response to people who say that business owners risked for their business and deserve it because they risked? Fuck their risk. No, we're gonna do the giveaway before we leave. Before we end the stream, we're gonna do the giveaway. I'm gonna let Arden do the giveaway.
Ooh.
All right, call in line is open. First come, first serve for office hours. You get 5 minutes per call. Damn. It's like 3 people called at once and it hung up on like 2 of them. Hello, are you here for office hours?
I am.
Okay, can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Absolutely. My name is Lola. I'm 29, and my pronouns are she, they.
Okay, Lola, do you have a question for me or Arden?
Yeah, I was just thinking about, with all the things you guys talk about, and particularly you, Jovan, with gender as a social construct, I really like the examples you use around love and friendship, and people can't define what love or friendship is to others. I was wondering if you've ever thought about parenthood as a social construct that's sort of similar to gender, because there's a biological aspect to parenthood, a legal aspect, and a social aspect to parenthood. So I guess I was curious on your thoughts, if you think that's like a good argument, a good way to explain it and help people wrap their head around all these different aspects of gender. And while there are objective truths to biological parenthood and biological sex, there's also social aspects of you can't define who a parent is for you. When does a step parent become a parent? There's a legal element of custody in parenthood. So I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts on that argument and that comparison of those two, both social, legal, and biological concepts.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad way to take it. Because like at the end of the day, what is a parent is probably a really hard question to answer. That's really broad.
Yeah,
right.
So
I've used that analogy a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And what is gender? Like, what is a woman? Like, yes, there's female aspects to womanhood, and there's every mammal or living thing that breeds sexually objectively has 2 biological parents. But are you going to tell someone that their step parent isn't their parent? How can you tell someone who their parents are or who their gender is?
Yeah.
And some people will. I mean, like, I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene at one congressional hearing told, I think it was over opening schools during COVID. The head of whatever department that was, I'm pretty sure, a lesbian who had adopted her wife's children. And Marjorie Taylor Greene specifically said, like, you are not a mom, you are not a parent. So like, yeah, I think it's super analogous, at least in how like society treats it, because there's a lot of people who really only value the like biological reproductive element of it. And even though I think most of the time when people are talking about this, we are, like you're saying, talking about more of a social thing. Like my stepdad is definitely way more of a dad to me than my dad is, you know, like that is,
Absolutely.
yeah, a very real thing.
Yeah, I've heard people use it for like biological and adoptive parent can sort of also be an analogy for trans and cis, like both are parents, both are women. It's just 2 adjectives to describe the parent, and the woman or man. But I was just curious what your thoughts were on like taking the analogy even further. So I don't know if that was a very good question, but I thought of that and was curious your experience debating minds on how it might play if I use that analogy on friends and family who maybe can't quite wrap their head around the gender and sex relationship and social constructs.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty good. I found friend, for me anyway, to be the one that like really nails them the most. Nails them. Pause. Resume. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad argument to make at all.
Cool. Well, I won't take up any more of your time. Thanks for all you do. I love listening to you both. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
All right, we're gonna keep going so we can try to get to as many office hours calls as we can before we start doing the other stuff. Hello, are you here for office hours?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Jovan?
Chillin'. Can I just get
Hello.
your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Skip, 40, he, they.
All right, thank you for calling back, Skip.
Yep, I'm going to take you off my Bluetooth real quick.
No problem at all.
There we go.
All right, Skip, what was it you wanted to ask us about again?
Okay, so I'm currently in school right now, and on my side time, I'm looking into political theory and such, and I currently consider myself a left-wing technocrat. I would like to understand and technically have a conversation why technocracy can't be formed into a communist-style frame. Does that make sense?
If I understand technocrat, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it would kind of have to, right? It would Star Trek it, wouldn't it? Like we would get so advanced technology wise that we'd have no use for labor anymore.
That's technically the goal, where we aren't oppressed by the fact that we aren't able to work or we aren't able to get the goal done. I'm sorry if I'm shaky. I'm kind of nervous because I know I'm talking in front of people, but
No, don't worry.
I keep looking it up, and whenever people talk about technocracy, it seems like they keep adding on their own bias of what it is, and it always comes off as a right-wing authoritarian autocracy, whatever, like very oppressive. And I always go back to it and look it up, and I'm like, a society run by technical experts in their field. I don't understand how that's different from what we describe as meritocracy, or I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. Like, please tell me I'm wrong.
The government or control of society or industry by an elite of tech. I think the problem becomes the control of industry. And the control, I think that becomes part of an issue because it's not allowing the industry to still be owned by the proletariat at large. They're now being owned by this small elite group of people. I think what I think would really work on this is if you add a technological aspect to council communism, where you go, hey, these people are more advanced or understand the technology that we're using so much. We would obviously want them to be the heads of the councils that deal with this technology. Yeah,
that's like when I think about communism, I'm thinking about workers like voting in their managers. It's like, how is that not technocracy?
It seems like the difference between a technocracy is a technocracy you wouldn't have. Like, honestly, a technocracy, think about it now, like Trump has thrust to the head of the U.S. government people who are like meta executives, AI executives, Tesla. That's where I think that the issue becomes.
This is what the definition of an elite. For me, I don't consider an elite as someone who hoards things, such as money. Like, are they really an expert in their field, being a CEO? Really?
No, not usually.
Do they have a degree? Exactly. They're not an elite, in my opinion.
I think the problem is at least in the definition, it's using the word elite in that way. It's using the word elite as in bureaucratic or economic elite. They're not using it in the like a merit-based definition.
Yeah, and that's the divide that I'm seeing, because for me, in school for engineering, I'm like, I look up to the people who like put out these papers and study this. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that they're almighty and whatnot. I'm highly skeptical of it. I just got done with philosophy of science. Wonderful class. But it, like, I think whenever it's run into like this is government state, it can be redefined from the bottom up in a communist style. And I've been thinking about it. Like I saw a Reddit debate that talked about
It's really quick.
ocracies
You only got like 10 more minutes, Skips, or 10 more minutes, 10 more seconds, Skip. So,
ocracies are governments and isms are states. So wouldn't it be a technism?
No, I don't know, actually.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem, Skip. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
All right.
I feel like that's why I don't fuck with labels super hard, because I don't know. I just don't know if I really care what box you can put a group of ideas in. I'd rather just evaluate the substance of the idea itself.
Honestly, if you want a really good example of a technocracy, watch Upload. Watch the show Upload.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah, the
quite
show you
literally, the
mentioned
show Upload turns into the main characters trying to fight back against a technocracy. Call line is open if you want to call in. Where's the number? It's right there on the top of the screen. Hello, are you calling for office hours?
Yes, sir.
All right, can I just get your name, age, pronouns?
Yeah, Lord, 29, he, him.
What's up, Lord?
How's it going?
We chilling, bud. What did you want to ask about?
Well, I tried to come in and debate about capitalism and communism last time. I wanted to discuss, because I brought up my interest and passion for vocational rehabilitation, where does that stand in a communist society?
Say the phrase again, for rehabilitate. Say it again.
Vocational rehabilitation. So, if you want me to kind of define it for you, I can.
Why is it job training and stuff like that?
In a sense, it is vocational rehabilitation. Part of it is job training, like occupational rehabilitation. But it is, in a sense, I'm not a counselor yet. I would help individuals find education or, through aptitude testing or other types of testing, find career interests. I help individuals who may be blind like me find assistive technology that's useful. I'd help them go through orientation and mobility training, so allowing them to be able to, function better in society. But those things are typically nonprofit, but they do require plenty of funding through those nonprofits. So I was just trying to figure out.
Oh, we would absolutely have that in a communist system. Yeah, we'd fund that 100%. Okay.
That was the big basic, like the big question I've been having in the last couple of days was.
Yeah,
like,
because you got to.
Where did that come from?
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Laura.
No, there wasn't much going there. I'd rather hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a big thing to remember when it comes to communism is like educating people and getting people job training and stuff like that. Like that's super important, right? Like that's something that we want to make sure people have, because if they say like I'm tired of working on a farm, I'm like, oh, I want to do something else. We're like, okay, we'll come over here. We'll train you on something else and go have fun.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I'd have to say, from our previous discussion, and I've been binging your debates and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you turned me into a communist. So.
W.
Right on.
How do you do a W?
And I'll head off after this. I would just, if you're interested in kind of the statistics behind it, I'd look into, there's a couple studies on the employment rates for individuals who are visually impaired and blind, like myself, and how education, even with a master's degree, can barely jump the employment rate for those individuals up to 60%. And so that's where a lot of my, as a person who has that similar disability. It's just a fascinating facet of our society to see how much those type of people struggle.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But yeah, no, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep listening in.
All right, Laura, you have a good rest of your day, bud.
You two guys, well, not you two guys, but you guys as well. You guys know what I mean. God damn.
We
I got
got
you. You guys is not
Yeah.
transphobic, I promise. I know people panic about it all the
Okay.
time when they're talking to trans women. They're like,
What
oh no,
do
I
you
said you guys,
mean,
or
you
dude.
guys?
Oh no.
I just don't want to be rude or anything.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it, man.
You're
You're
not.
fine.
Take care now.
You too. Right on.
We love office hours over here. Just give me 1 second, chat. Okay. Let's bring in the next person. Call line is wide open. Maybe I do just need to start using Call-in Studio. It's just so much. Hello, are you calling for office hours?
Yeah, just had a kind of a question / wanted to get your opinion on a response to something I heard in one of your debates recently.
Sure. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns?
Sure. My name's Nathan. I'm 30, and he, him.
All right, Nathan, what was your question?
Yeah, so the other day you were debating somebody about abortion, and they brought up a thing about potential and like a lottery ticket, and I just kind of felt like it was a false equivalence because the real is I have a $50,000 lottery ticket or that's a winner now or a $100,000 potential lottery ticket. And I feel like that's a better sort of one for abortion where your $50,000 now is your actual living pregnant person versus your fetus.
Yeah,
which would be your
basically,
potential.
basically saying like, hey, if I had my lottery ticket in my hand and I just bought it and I was walking down the street and some guy is like, hey, I'll buy that lottery ticket off you for $50,000, you would sell it to him every time.
Exactly.
There's not a single human being that would not sell him that lottery ticket. And that's I think
Exactly.
probably
I felt like that was
yeah.
kind of a good response to that is like when they're arguing potential, they're ignoring the physical real that's already here.
Yeah, something I didn't think about, but yeah, no, you're right. Like we're almost always going to value real over the potential. It's just the way humans work.
Yep.
But I like the
just a thought I had.
if you have like a that's why I really like the like if you have a 6-month-old baby in a burning building and 10,000 fertilized embryos.
Yep.
Like which one are you going to save? Obviously the actual living baby, even though if you really think that's life, saving 10,000 lives would be way more valuable than one. But everyone like instinctively chooses the baby.
I just wanted to throw that out there as another way to kind of shoot back at that and be like, well, so you're telling me you'd give up the $50,000 ticket for the 100,000 potential? Like I wouldn't.
Same. I would absolutely sell a lottery ticket for 50,000. And it's even goes more analogous to pregnancy because then they'll probably be like, but then can't you just go buy another lottery ticket? I'm like, exactly. You just go get pregnant.
Exactly.
Again.
Yeah. So,
sell that baby for 50,000. Pause.
No real questions.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Nathan. You have a good rest of your day, friend.
You as well.
I like when you guys reference previous things in the office hours, because then if I decide to keep this video and post it, I can go and post a clip from that previous. Ooh.
Yep.
Hello, are you calling for office hours?
Yes, I am.
All right. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns?
My name is Ashley. I'm 42, and she, her.
Okay, Ashley, what questions did you have for us today?
So you convinced me quite a bit about communism. One thing I was wondering about was without like a state government, how do we protect minority groups like trans people or something else like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the big things to remember is that the reason why these groups are targeted is a sort of enemy of us mentality, and that's used for capitalists to maintain power. So like an example of this, speaking from my own experience, is the reason why black people were slaves was so capitalists could earn a lot more money using cheap labor. So the big crux of it is that when we achieve class consciousness, the other consciousnesses kind of have to fall in line, because you don't really have, right? Half the reason why people are bigots is because they're poor. The other half is because they want to maintain wealth, right? At least in my opinion. But it's also a thing that we can look at where it's like, hey, maybe we can't achieve class consciousness till we first achieve, solidarity between trans and cis people, or maybe we can't do it until we can't get class liberation until we have Black liberation or queer liberation.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I wasn't sure if there would be like a group of MAGA that suddenly developed class consciousness but kept all their other ideas, but that seems like it would be kind of unlikely the other ideas would probably fall away if they understood enough to become
at least unless we don't, we might need to abolish religion, but
I mean, I'm fine with that too.
Was there anything else that you want to talk about? You got 3 more minutes.
Nope. I just want to say I'm a great admirer of both of you, and thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for
Thanks,
calling
Ashley.
in, Ashley. You have a good rest of your day, friend.
You too. Bye.
Ooh, I like office hours. This is fun. I should do this more often and not forget.
No, it's good. I think I really find debate compelling, and so I love debate and I like to participate in debate. But I do think something that in the debate sphere we miss out on is preaching to our choir a little bit more, because the right almost exclusively preaches to the choir, and it's clearly benefited them massively. And so I think we kind of have like an aversion to being accused of being in an echo chamber. And I'm like, the last like 10 years have shown us that being in an echo chamber is a massive win, like victory. And like we get out of our echo chamber regularly doing debates, but like I think it's good to come back in and be like, no, let's talk to our people now.
Yeah. Just a reminder for people calling in, I don't have call waiting. So if I'm on the call and you try to call in, it's not going to go through. Hello, are you here for office hours?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can we get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
My name is Miggy, M-I-G-G-Y. My age is 39, and he's A.
Okay, Maggie, what are you calling to ask about today?
Sorry, it's Miggy, M-I-G-G-Y.
Miggy. Oh.
Yeah.
Miggy, my bad. I used to get called a word very similar to Miggy when I was young.
Oh, cool.
I'm sorry.
I was like waiting for that.
Okay, Mickey, go ahead. What was your question? Sorry.
No, it's exciting to talk to you guys. I'm really excited. So I am talking to Jovan and Arden, right? Sorry.
Yep.
I turned off the stream. Okay. I had a question. I wanted y'all's take on so with the trans issue, I always hear everybody's position on how detrimental it is to the physical effects on a young person's physical development. And it made me think about like the forcing of like youth into athletics and the physical detriment that has on young people with like concussions and torn ACLs and like how that develops over time. I wanted y'all's take on like the equivocation of that. Is that like an accurate equivocation? Like, because I don't ever hear anybody bringing that up as like a point.
Well, it gets brought up on TACUS. Luxander actually has brought it up a lot with regard to like dance, for example. Like kids who are in dance will often have like spinal problems from some of the moves that they're required to do in dance, and those will be lifelong complications they have to work with. It's definitely not an equivocation. If they're complaining that their contention with gender affirming care are the lifelong effects, then if they actually care about lifelong effects and they're going to be consistent with that, they should care about these other things as well, but they don't. They only care about lifelong effects that come from gender affirming care. So clearly what they actually care about isn't the life-changing effects. It is the gender affirming care element, or there's some other element to gender affirming care that is what they actually care about. It is just a line that they've been told and that they're working on. But yeah, it's definitely not something that you like consistently that almost any of these people consistently ideologically hold. I'm sure there are some though who are genuinely are like, I'm opposed to things that, you know, have unnatural lifelong effects on the body, but you know, I don't think that accounts for any meaningful portion of anti-trans people.
Okay. All right. What would you say would be like a good way to like even present this point or this as like a counter argument?
I mean, I think do it kind of like we were just saying, use it as a test of their consistency. Because like, if I do that and I find out this person is someone who genuinely cares about those kinds of things, I'm going to be like, okay, I don't share that value with you, but at least you're being consistent and that's something you care about. In which case, I don't really have much to debate you with. We just disagree on this value fundamentally. But if they show that that isn't their value and that they are inconsistent with it, well, now you've tapped into something. Like now you've kind of exposed, hopefully, something that they're not likely to change over the course of this conversation with them, right? This is going to be something you're planting in their brain that they're going to sit on for a while of like, oh, wow, I've been saying that, but that's not actually a value that I really hold consistently. So what is it that I'm upset about? And it causes them to kind of dig deeper.
Yeah. Cool. That's kind of where I was thinking too, as far as like how consistent they are with their stance on the whole protection of the physical development of a young person. Like, or is it just that they are being transphobic or, you know, just not wanting the whole trans issue or things. So, and that I've been a teacher for 12 years at a very heavy athletic school where, you know, I've had students with all kinds of injuries and, you know, suffering for days because of concussions, which has affected their academics and things like that. And then they're out of school because they're going through all kinds of surgeries and things like that, which then affects their attendance in schools and their academics. So I feel like athleticism and the forcing of students to be the best athlete that they can be from such a young age really has more of a detriment than, you know, even the trans issue, which
100%.
Trans is not an issue, of course. I love all my trans students and my trans friends.
Yeah, I know we're probably at the time limit for you, but I
sorry.
you can extend this. No, you're fine. You're fine. You can extend this to a bunch of other domains too. When they start talking about women in sports, like what issues are actually affecting women in sports? Is this a real value you hold? Because if so, trans people are going to be like priority number 427, right? There's a lot of things that are way more pressing on female athletes than trans athletes. Same goes for protecting women and girls from like sexual abuse, right? We know what the rates and risk factors are relating to sexual abuse for cis women, and it's not to do with trans people. This has to do with people in positions of power over them, church leaders, community leaders, family friends, extended family, things like this. Like, I think it's good to test someone's consistency when they're claiming to you that their opposition to something is rooted in some stated value. And that we did that, I think, today a number of times with that first anti-trans caller.
Yeah, Miggy, that is that's time, friend. So if you I do office hours once a week. So if you ever want to call in, I'll let you guys know next week when next week office hours are. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you all for your time. Huge fan of the line. Huge fan of you, Jovan. And you guys have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
We got time for like a couple more, and then when it hits 10 minutes to 2, we're gonna do the giveaway. Hello, are you here for office hours?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
I just go by Pillow, 19, and he, him.
Pillow, you're in the Discord, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it sounded familiar. All right, Pillow, what was your question?
I just had a question because I've watched a lot of your videos. I just had a question about abolish police and prisons. I agree. I just was wondering what would you do with like in that situation? What would be done with like pedophiles, rapists, like child molesters, rapists?
Long-term care or long-term rehabilitation facilities, depending on which they need. If there's somebody without mental health issues that are leading them to do the the offenses, and it'd be like a long-term rehabilitation facility, because it may be some societal thing that's causing them to do what they do or whatever. And then if it's something where they have a need, or like a compulsive need to engage in this, it would be a long-term care facility, because they are a danger to themselves and society.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
awesome. Thank you.
one of the things that I really quickly, just to say, one of the things that I think is really important in rehabilitative care is we have to bring the victims in. So I do believe that maybe not that it should, but we should offer the victims a chance when it comes to, like, let's say somebody's been in a long-term rehabilitative facility and we're like, okay, it seems that this person has been rehabilitated from these actions or thoughts or harms or whatever. We should probably say, okay, the victims now have to make a determination about whether they feel safe with this person coming back into the specific society, or maybe it's that we have to let them into another. Who knows? It's just like, I do think the victim should be involved in some way, shape, or form.
That makes perfect sense. That's actually like a great idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, you still got 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering, like, you kind of turned me into a communist, and I was wondering, what would be the arguments? Like, I'm still really new to learning, so what would be the arguments for, like, communism or council communism over, like, socialism, just like classical socialism, I guess?
Well, because classical socialism is just going to inherently always lead to communism if it goes unchallenged, right? Because socialism is basically an easy way to describe it as communism with a state. The thing about socialism is that once there is no class distinction, you're going to have no need for a state at all. And the state is just going to the hope is that the state will naturally dissolve and you're just going to get to communism anyway. So like whenever I have these debates, people are like, well, why not just go socialism? Like, because if we have socialism the way I want to have socialism, we're just going to have communism anyway. Like, so let's just to go to the next step and talk about that.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was thinking about this just because I have family members who are socialists but not communists, but I didn't think about that before.
Yeah, just ask them what the end goal of their socialism is. If the end goal is to keep a state, you're just going to naturally, if it's to keep a state, you risk just reinventing capitalism by somebody who takes state control and state power. So,
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Anything else, Philip?
Thank you. No, I just want to say thank you so much. I love your content and Arden's content. I watch The Line, and I just wanted to say thank you for doing the content you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Philip.
For calling in.
Yep. Bye.
This is a good office hours. Oh, my neck. Like two more calls probably, I think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Call line is open. Hello, are you here for office hours?
I am.
All right, can I just get your name, age, pronouns, please?
Jeff 50. Hingham.
All right, Jeff.
Hey, Arden.
Hey.
Jeff, what question do you have for us today?
It's actually a concept that's been rattling around in my brain for a long time. Do you know how anyone can go to marryyourfriends.com and get a license to marry people?
Yeah, I'm licensed to marry people.
Why are doctors not using the bitter story in the Bible to go and get a license to do abortions? Like in the same way that anyone can go and get a license to.
Mm-hmm. Me personally, I've always thought the bitters water story was not a really great abortion analogy. I just feel like it's more like, here's this magical water that if you're pregnant and you cheated on me, then we'll get rid of that baby. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely show. I think there are better ways to show that God condones ripping fetuses from the womb than that one.
I also don't completely love us using their framework just because they might have some marginal success.
I think Jeff is saying because we have to respect religion, right? You could say, well, it's of my religion that I have to give this bitter water.
Okay.
But I doubt that would hold up in
in that case, I think the Satanist approach is far more effective, where they have just said, I think there's even some Jewish sects that kind of fall into this, where access to abortion is considered like a part of their religious tradition, and so having access to those treatments should be legally protected. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. And Carden, please tell the guy about An Honest Liar. That movie just rocks, and I think I've mentioned it to you a couple times. But man, that is like probably one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long ass time. And Jovan, you got to check it out. But I won't waste any more of your time.
I'm busy watching
James Randi?
Upload right now.
How's that?
I said I'm busy watching Upload right now. Is it as good as Upload?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Oh, it's about James Randi.
It's like
I love James Randi. Yeah,
Oh.
I'd be definitely interested to see that.
I think I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's really good, man. Really good. But all right, thank you very much. Appreciate the show. Love you guys.
All right, thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Wait, I think I've watched this. I might not have watched this, but I've watched a lot of James Randi dunking on psychics. All right, we have time for one more call, and then we're gonna wrap. Me and Arden are gonna do a wrap up and do the giveaway. Hello, are you here to debate? Or debate? Jesus Christ! Are you here for office hours? Yeah. Sorry, I just defaulted. Like I heard the ringing and it just defaulted. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah, my name is Cassie. I'm 21, and my pronouns are she, her, and they, them.
All right, Cassie, 21, she, her, and they, them. Cassie, what question did you have for us today?
Yeah, so I would like to know, like, if a good sort of, or like ways to go about, I guess, a reversal in a, like, what is a woman debate would be to, like, say, you know, oh, what is a man, reverse that onto the, like, bigot in this case, and try and, like, I guess, not necessarily point out, but slide the bar to different ranges and have them have to describe something that clearly they would not be showing as a man.
You mean to just take the pressure off trans women for a bit?
Yeah, take the pressure off women, just in general, trans women, cis women, whatever, and just kind of like, if they're trying to define something that's not them, start with them defining something that is them.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, they're just gonna hit you back with adult human male.
Yeah.
But like, I get the point to get the. I get it. Trans women are getting the brunt of it. And you know, that's because of trans misogyny and a whole litany of other things. So I do understand the point, to like, it's not a bad idea to like start focusing the calls a little bit more on trans men. So yeah, it's not a bad idea at all.
Well, would it be useful to be like, oh, well, so if being a man is this, and then this, you know, like this right-wing grifter says, oh, this is what it is to be a man, but then this other person that would be described as like a better man does it, then like just sort of make this web in this whole interpretation.
From a term of like when they talk, you're kind of talking like red pill-ish, right? Like when they're like, oh, in order to be a man, you have to provide, you have to be a protector, and you have to like kind of like that.
Yeah, and like I feel like that would just be a good sort of web or example, just to be like, oh, well, here's like, you know, if you say these things are what a man is, and if you follow like certain beliefs like this, and then clearly here's like 1,000,001 contradictions, then like how, you know, what would you have to then concede like women as? If you can hardly define man, then why do you have any notion in defining what a woman is?
I mean, I think a lot of them would probably say that, you know, that they do think there's an element of gender that is socially constructed and things like that. And those roles are good for like society or something, or like they'd probably use some like coded fucking white nationalist language like Western civilization or some bullshit. But that they think that fundamentally the question of what is a man is a biological one or something like that. That's usually my experience of kind of how those things go. Yeah.
I also think the thing you're going to run into is they're just going to say, well, there's a difference between being a man and masculinity. right? They're going to claim that like, well, this is more like masculine traits, not about, I think they will always default to adult human male, but I do think there is something to be said about manhood and how they can't even adhere to their own steadfast thing of manhood, because they'll do it all the time. They'll come into my chat and be like, we were cat ears, be a man. And I'm like, oh, so I don't have to be an adult human male? Just don't wear cat ears and that makes you a man. Essentially, it's a good argument if the person you're talking to is in bad faith and can recognize that, like, when we say to be a man, you must be X, Y, and Z, that is putting a societal expectation on a gender category of how a gender category must behave to fit into that category.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. Yeah, and then I just want to say as well, love the stream today. It was awesome, and like, you got to do office hours more. It's been like a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Every time I go, I'm going to do office hours, I get really tired.
You should
also,
you should, like,
the money is
set an
unfortunately
alarm.
for better or worse in the debates, you know.
What you should do, one thing that would really help with like getting motivation. I know you're very like food motivated. Is just, hey, order pizza, do office hours.
Oh yeah, but sometimes
and when pizza arrives, like office hours is done, something like that.
I just need pizza. I just need food for food. I could do a thing where it's like whenever we hit the t-shirt giveaway goal, I also do office hours that stream. I can always do it like that.
That would be a good idea, yeah.
And that just gives more incentive for the goals.
Yep.
I'll ask chat how they feel about that. But thank you so much for calling in, Cassie. You have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too as well. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye, Arden.
Bye, Cassie.
All right, good office hours today, guys. Good office hours. Give yourselves a high five. All right.
Let's go team.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching this video. And I want to give a special shout out to my YouTube members. Their names are on the side. Membership starts at $2.99 a month, and you get early access to videos, exclusive members-only videos, and access to the Red Mirror Media Discord server. Thank you again to my members, and thanks for watching.